No simple road. No simple road. No simple road. No simple road.
All right. Cool, man. We're rolling and recording and everything is happening. Stars have aligned.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
I'm Aaron. How you doing, man?
I'm great. I'm Andy.
Nice to meet you, Andy.
This is Mel, Andy, and we have one more.
And I'm Apple. Thank you for joining us, man.
Thank you more for having me. It's great to have a conversation today, so I appreciate it.
Yes.
You know, it's funny, man. Like lately, it's just nice to talk to people that aren't in our house.
I can completely relate.
How are you doing, Andy? Are you faring okay these days?
Yeah, I can't complain. My father always said it's not cool to complain with your mouth full. So,
Oh, that's a one.
I feel that way. I try to remind myself of that all the time.
Wow.
You know, it's obviously been an adventure for everybody, but you know, I've tried to make the most of it and you know, write some music and try to stay tapped in and just see where we go from here.
Right.
How about y'all? You doing okay?
Go ahead, Mel.
We're doing all right. I mean, I think we're no different than anyone else with the whole roller coaster ride that everyone's on, you know, emotionally, creatively, physically, you know, like some days are fantastic. It's great. Like, you know what? It's not so bad being home. And then other days like, what the hell? When can we leave? I want to see people. So today's a high day. I'm on the peak today because it just, you know, I guess I've been in the valley the last few, but it's been good overall.
I think the hardest part for me is like not having connection with people as like I did. And feeling a sense of like community, like that going to concerts and festivals and being involved in the music scene I really learned since this started that gave me a really deep sense of community, and the show has become the lifeline to that thing since it started.
Yeah. I feel like you know, I'm pretty usually always have something on the horizon to look forward to or to do, and a tour or a recording session or whatever it may be. And not having those things is sort of sapped my energy, I guess, at times.
Yeah, man.
Yes.
We've said that the not having shit to look forward to is weird and a tough thing to navigate.
As we're getting older, we realized it's kind of it's like the fountain of youth. When you're getting older, it gives you something to go congregate, get with people, get out there and dance, and it's a workout for the mind, body, spirit, and that's been taken away. So we got to find it elsewhere, which is hard.
Yeah, I feel like too once you slow down and you stop running in the race, you it's hard to go back. It's like
Yes.
sloth breeds sloth. It's like I don't want to do anything anymore.
No
Oh my gosh,
shit.
yes.
Yeah,
I totally fall into that whole mode. I have plenty of energy most of the days, but since this, it's like I don't feel like it. I don't wanna.
Yeah,
what bother?
We've all said that you wake up like within an hour of getting a decent night's sleep. It's like I'm tired already. What the hell? I didn't even do anything. What the hell?
I don't know, man. This is, like I said, the talking to people like you has become the lifeblood of the house. We all live together here in Portland, so it's become like the life's blood of the household, like that keeps us going, something to look forward to every week, and finding out new music too. That's been another really integral part of this whole journey, and finding you guys was one of those awesome things for us, man. Thanks for what you do, bro. It's really beautiful.
I appreciate that a lot. Thank you. Thank you.
Andy,
Well,
can you get into like?
That's how I was going to.
Yeah.
On that note, we did have you.
Oh, yeah,
we
huh.
know who
Jesus.
you are. Introduce
sorry.
yourself to our listeners and tell us what you do, and let's get into the your music here.
My name is Andy Stepanian, and I am in a musical group that is really a vehicle for my songs called Leon the Third, Leon I. And technically, Leon the Third is a duo. My friend and longtime musical collaborator Mason Brent is sort of the Mick Ronson to the whole operation. He's a really talented multi-instrumentalist, and he and I have a long musical history together. We were and still are in a band called Wrinkle Neck Mules, which had a notable amount of success on the East Coast in particular. Kind of a almost country rock or bluegrass sort of vibe to Wrinkle Neck Mules. It still exists, but not at a pace that is that brisk. And so I was kind of grumpy and personally moving in a different direction musically, or wanted to try something different from a band that has been together since 1999, Wrinkle Neck Mules.
Wow.
And so I went out and forged this little thing called Leon the Third, which is really, it feels like we've been at it for a while, but it's really just getting off the ground. We have one album that came out in 18, I think, and another one that is set to come out here in a few weeks or in the beginning of March. And we're just, trying to create and trying to do something unique. And Leon the Third.
Well, I would say you definitely have created something unique, because we've been listening, went back to, Wrinkle Neck Mules, listened to that, and then you listen to the first album that you did, Leon the Third, like the transition from the country. It's really interesting to listen to. And then the two new songs we can listen to, it's like it keeps getting more psychedelic.
Yeah, we're trying to get out there more, and some of it is when we started Leon the Third, I truly didn't know what it was going to sound like necessarily, and I love that notion of not really having a very defined thing, but now I'm sort of getting more and more confident with where I think it's going, and the different ingredients that I can use to kind of keep getting out there into the darker part of the forest.
How do you get with your same partner and create a different music to bring? Like, if you're already kind of making music, how do you switch that to a whole different sound?
One of the things is that Wrinkle Neck Mules is a 5-piece band that has multiple songwriters in it and has been the same lineup since 2005. And I always sort of think about it in the same terms as like visual art or something. So you have the band, and each of those band members really paints with certain colors, and they don't necessarily use other colors. And so the painting always kind of ends up having certain characteristics that because of the people that are in it. So the design behind Leon the Third was to, although Mason is part of it, the rest of the band is totally in flux at all times.
Oh, okay.
And so that includes the recording band, which in both instances there was some overlap, but we kind of sourced people that we admire and whose music we love, and the same with the live band. It changes all the time, and so I think, and that's really what I wanted. I always wanted people that paint with different new colors, and so that is how I think we're trying to push this music into a different realm. And We're thinking about a third album right now. I've got the songs, thanks to the mighty COVID. And so, I thinking about, okay, you know, what's the next iteration look like, and should it be the same, or should it be radically change who's involved in this thing?
Well, it feels a lot like Apple was saying, we went back and listened to Wrinkle Neck Mules and then Leon the Third, and it feels like a journey. And then even from the first album to the second album, there's depth, there's distance between those two.
Yeah.
And the thing that always interests me with artists like you is I want to know the personal side of that. Like, I know when huge sea changes happen in my life, something happened. Something was there. There was an impetus that caused that thing to happen. And so for you, what was the thing that started this wanting to paint with different colors like that?
It sounds kind of lofty and puffy, but like there's this, and I don't purport to know exactly what it is, but there's this thing I read about that is a Buddhist idea called structural drift, which is that an organism is a totally during the course of your life, all of the cells that you used to have, they die, and your body regenerates new cells. And so the person that you are at 45 is not the same person you were when you were 22, because literally you are a different life form. You're different cells and new cells. And so I don't feel like I'm the same person that I was back then. I don't, and therefore my musical taste, although there are definitely some central threads to all this, things that have been there since the beginning, but my musical taste and kind of what I want to do musically and what interests me personally musically is not the same anymore. And I guess when I was 25, I didn't care about jazz, and I sort of this is just an example. I would just dismiss it kind of wholly. But now at the stage of my life that I'm in now, I'm kind of into that stuff, and it's just one example.
Right.
Is that I just feel like I've changed, and my motivation around certain things have changed.
That totally makes sense. It's funny that you brought up the jazz thing. Mel and I just the other day, I don't remember what we were listening to.
Yeah, we were listening to jazz.
But I don't remember what it was.
Yeah.
And Mel goes, "Are we at that age now where we're appreciating jazz? Like, this is it. We've reached it. We're grandparents now, and now we're listening to jazz."
Well, it wasn't even the listening aspect. It was like the appreciation of it. We were like, "Oh my God, listen to that!" We're like so into the music, and it wasn't just like on in the background. We were actively listening, and so it made me think that, like, oh my God, we're appreciating jazz. That means we're at that time in our life.
We're on our way to dying.
There is more behind us than there is in front of us.
I totally understand what you're saying, and I think like you said, that's a Buddhist thing, but that's really similar for everybody. The things that I liked when I was 20 are definitely not the things that I'm into now.
Yeah.
Thank God.
Yeah.
And
it's some things are the same, but like when I was strangely, when I was that age, and it manifests itself very much in Wrinkle Neck Mules. Like, I really wanted to be, even though I don't have the talent, I wanted to be a bluegrass musician. And I grew up in Virginia, and I wanted to sing like that, and I wanted the harmonies to be structured like that. I still like that stuff, but I've just migrated away from it.
Yeah. I'm like that with like metal music. I used to just love heavy, hard angsty, angry music, and I can't do it anymore. It hurts. It hurts. It makes me.
What were you into? Like the screamo stuff, or like?
No, I'm 49, so like I'm talking like early Slayer, Venom, Exodus, like that early Pantera, yeah, exactly, and then like all the punk rock stuff from back then too.
Do you like Danzig? Were you a Danzig?
Oh my God, I love Danzig.
I'm going to tell you an embarrassing secret.
I love Danzig, man.
So I have a cover of the Sam Hain album on my thigh.
So you do like that?
I loved Danzig.
Yes.
Yes.
But kind of going along back to what you said about the structural drift, like when you're 20, you're not even yourself yet. You're just becoming yourself. So how could you possibly operate from the same position when you're 40? You're not establishing yourself anymore. You are established. You're building on what was your 20s. And well, whether hopefully you said, but it doesn't have to be successful or not. You're still not just starting out. So that definitely lends itself to bringing in more influence musically, fashion, like all kinds of stuff.
Something that you said I want to ask you about, you mentioned the darker part of the forest. And that is, I'm realizing as I'm moving through life that what I used to think was the darker part of the forest isn't necessarily quite so dark. And you know what I mean? Like my taste has changed. And so my frequency shifted with it. And there's a predilection in myself to gravitate towards that. And I'm wondering if you could talk a little bit about like what you think it is inside of you that draws you to that thing.
Just being introspective, you know, and sort of constantly thinking and sort of studying, you know, people who I think have excelled at articulating those things. Like Leonard Cohen comes to mind as someone. I'm a really big fan of Bonnie Prince Billy, Will Oldham, and in fact, the way that I came to work with Mark Nevers is because of my real love for an album that Mark produced for Bonnie Prince Billy called Master and Everyone, which is a whisper of an album. And it's dark, but beautiful at the same time.
Right.
And so I think it's just introspection and trying to work out the never-ending Rubik's Cube of what it's like to be alive, of being alive and solving your problems and contemplating where you stand versus the rest of the universe. I guess that sounds a little bit, you know,
no, that's
cosmic, but
no, that's right on par, especially right now. How can you not contemplate the bigger things? Because there's nothing else to think about, right? There's no distraction. You don't have to run to the store real quick to get anything because you should definitely be stocked up, and you're not going to be waiting in an airport traveling because there's nowhere to go. So like all those kind of like background thoughts, those big ones, they start to come forward. And I think what's fantastic about all the musicians that we interviewed in the last year, 2020, and then now is that like the quality of the conversations is completely different. There's no rushing. There's no show you just played to riff off of. There's no show that you're going to talk about. So who is this person? Who is this person in Leon 3? Who is this person, you know, in Wrinkle Neck Mules or whatever, Wrinkle Neck Mules? Like it has been such a it's so helpful, like personally. I almost feel selfish to hear everybody's, interior thoughts, because it's going on in me too, and in all of us here. And the fact that you put things to music, that's the beautiful part of it. So you're talking about it now, but you're also putting it to music, because gosh, a lot of the albums I've heard, it seems like it was written for this time, and they were all produced and done in 2020.
Yeah.
It's like, how the hell do you guys know, or did you know, or what? Like, do you find that when you listen back to music, that like it becomes current and even almost prophetic in your now time?
Well, I feel like we all interpret lyrically, we interpret music through our own lens and what we hear, and we apply our own lives to it, and our own the shit that we're going through and all that. And so you're like, well, of course, Leonard Cohen was talking about me right there. And so I think that's certainly happening as it relates to this year, as we all took this introspective turn, willingly or unwillingly. And so when you listen, you're like, oh man, this is sort of giving me the vibe of right now, the present.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I was just going to say the one that like kind of prophetic is the first album, Leon Third, starts off with "Maybe I'm Immune." I mean, that kind of
the beginning of that song's fantastic. I just have to say,
that's what it's going to ask about. Me and Aaron, when we listened to that song, we definitely heard, and this is going to lead to a question here. We heard like a tickling of like Jerry Garcia guitar opening of Morning Dew.
Yeah.
Like in that. And I'm curious if you guys, that's something that definitely changed Aaron and my lives early on, and Melanie's as she came on board, like the bus, whatever, is Grateful Dead's music and Jerry's, style. I'm just wondering how that has influenced.
So the Dead is probably one of the largest central themes musically to my whole life. It's one of the ones that's stuck around through all the structural drift, because you can sort of go from the bluegrass side all the way to the song side. I mean, the beautiful songs, all the way to the cosmic. And so in a lot of ways, the Dead has been the pole star throughout for me personally. I'm old enough where I was able to see, I saw the Dead. I grew up in Virginia, so one of my earliest memories actually is, or one of my earliest musical memories was being with my dad. He had taken me to his work on a Saturday or something, and for some reason we had to go down and drive around where the Richmond Coliseum is, and it was 1985. And I was 10 years old and saw out the window this absolutely crazy scene that I had no idea what to think it was. And it turned out to be the time that the Dead got banned from Richmond because of the fans stormed the gate, and it was a big ordeal. But that I remember seeing that, and everyone, the sort of the technicolor of all the people and all that. And whereas I think my dad thought that it would be repugnant to me, it was actually something that I was like, what is that? And I need to know what that is, and where are those shirts that people are wearing. So I saw the Dead multiple times at RFK Stadium and Merriweather Post Pavilion and Nassau Coliseum. And finally they let Jerry Van come back to Richmond, and that happened in 93 or 4. So I saw that. But anyway, the Dead is a central inspiration for me, as it is with you all. And
Yeah.
in particular, I'm drawn to sort of the beautiful songs. And that's one thing I think is often overlooked by people that aren't Dead people, is that they sort of think of the Dead as a thing, and they don't realize that it was really based in songs, really quality songs. And so I ended up writing a lot of songs that are in the vein of something like Black Muddy River or Mississippi Half Step or Sugary, like that tempo, that sort of vibe.
I get it.
The mid-tempo, beautiful Jerry jams.
Dude, it's so strange having been around it for as long as I've been around it now, that when I put on new music, I can like, you can taste the flavor in the stew, so to speak. Like, oh, there's an influence here, and you can, I can't put my finger on it, but it's very distinct. And like Apple said, when we put that one on, I was like, oh shit, that's sounds like the beginning of Morning Dew, but like cool. Like,
yeah. And Mason plays from the same kind of place. He loves the Dead as well. But the fun part about it is that, you know, I can sort of start with the frame of a song, like Fly Migrator, which is a song that's on the new album, that when my demo version sounded pretty deady, you know, and then in the song, then you bring in someone like Kai Welch, who was playing, you know, like really freaky synths on it, and Matt Pence, who doesn't come from a Dead kind of space at all, playing drums, and so the translation is very different. So it's something new, and something unique, and it doesn't come off at all like we're cloning or something like that.
not at all.
At least I think so.
No, not even a little bit.
You know what it does? Because they were outside. I was taking a shower. I was listening to I'm Immune. I heard it too. And what it does is it makes you feel comforting.
Yeah.
The same way that when you go see them and you hear that song that you wanted to call in your head by yourself, it's like, oh, they're here too. Like, it's totally your own thing. Like the music, like I said, that song was beautiful. The beginning was incredible, but it's comforting. And it's like that little secret handshake is what it feels like. If you catch that riff, then you know where I got that from, but here's my version. Here's my song.
It's yeah. There's a feeling to the music of Leon III that Mel just brought up that is pretty consistent with the new stuff and the last album. And I wonder if it's intentional for you, if it's something you're doing for yourself, is that, like she said, that it's comforting. It has a slight darkness to it, the ethereal quality.
Yeah.
But
floaty.
It's last night I was sitting out there. I usually have some drinks on Friday night and listen to your music. I came up with it hauntingly beautiful.
Yeah.
I was sitting outside Pacific Northwest, the breeze kind of blowing, really dark out, and I was spooked but also intrigued, and the music was like the soundtrack.
And
to
it's
it.
comfortable.
It's very comfortable.
Yeah. So
it's kind of like the womb, you know, like nobody thinks about this, but like the womb is like this dark place. There's no light in there, but it's cozy and you don't want to leave it. You know, sometimes it's, you know, like being in your shit is comfortable. I mean, I hate to say it that way, but it's true. That's why everybody's laughing.
From now on, when people ask me what kind of music I make, I'm just saying, music of the womb.
Music of the womb.
But it's true, man, because I heard a little bit of Pink Floyd, like that kind of floaty, just you don't know where it's going to land, and then it lands on these beautiful soft lyrics, and it's very transportive, the music, to me. Like that's what it felt like.
Yes.
What I was wondering is, like, when you're writing, are you looking to make something that's comforting to you, or is it just that's what's coming out?
I think it's the latter. I think it's just what's coming out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's just what's coming out, and I think that I always sort of write in. It's very abstract, but it's there's a lot of connectivity to the songs,
Mhm.
and so it's like the sequence of an album is very intentional, and we very much try to create albums, despite the fact that that's not really commercially what people do anymore.
Right.
I'm setting out to create an experience
Yes.
like the one that Apple had, and it's very reassuring to hear that someone actually went on the journey with us, and that's what we're trying to do, is sort of take you through this emotional journey, and you can interpret it however you want.
But it's a burden. Family needs has been deferred, and hella means been the earth, and alchemy can bring the birth, the melody of a newborn. So persistent, so resistant, so insistent, so commitment, so resilient, or haven't you learned it? One simple road. Shattered as I focus through the spot in the corner that is still intact. The react is both a defense mechanism as well as a fear. We've traveled this road before, so we may think, but it's a tad bit of strange similarities that feed an A = A complex. The fears of your past do not equal the perplexities of the current road.